So I, like nearly all recruiters in Sydney, English. And back in England, I had 6 years in executive search, focusing on fintechs and large banks. Then coming to Australia, I made the transition to go internally, and I've recruited for tech companies, including now Unicorn Safety Culture, and then with BCG Digital Ventures, which is the innovation arm of BCG. I put in the founding teams of the startups they created, and now here at Antler, I was part of the team that launched Antler into Australia, which was very exciting, and I lead the founder recruiting for us. So what that means is I, per year, recruit 180 to 200 founders who are ready to join our program to start their own companies. Coming to Australia, I knew that I wanted to transition from being an internal recruiter, so servicing clients, to being able to go internal into an organisation, to really be able to see the progress that the candidates that I was putting into organisations, watching their growth, but also to really understand more from the inside, as in like what drives recruitment and what processes can you put up in place to be able to really attract and retain the best staff. I wanted to play more of an operational role within a company. And so coming to Australia, I saw that as a neat transition point from being able to make the switch. The best career advice I had was that it was more important to be effective than to be right. And I mean by that is a lot of times I think you can get stuck on like, no, but this, I said that, or like, this was my decision, or like I owned that, and that's not important. It's much more important to be effective and work as a team and to get an end result than to necessarily have been right during the process. I would say it was being able to do things before you're ready. So an example of that is coming to Australia. The real value of a recruiter is your network and your understanding of the local market. Like, I didn't have that, but still I went for jobs in the top tech companies, which I probably wasn't ready for, but I did manage to land one. Similarly, joining Antler, like, I had never worked in a VC before. I'd never recruited 180 to 200 founders per year before, but I just went for it. So I feel like what's really worked for me is doing things a little bit before I'm ready, but I had the skills for. My biggest mistake along the way was coming to Australia. I think there's a step between doing something before you're necessarily ready and taking a bit of an overstep. So when I arrived here, as I mentioned, I didn't know the local market. I'd never been to Australia before, and my first job interview was at Canva. So I probably should have had a little bit of a warm-up of 1 or 2 companies, and definitely in terms of interviewing, if maybe not experience, before interviewing with them. I think the key to my success has been backing myself and having the confidence to own my decisions. Like, more and more I'm learning that like I do have the skills and ability, especially starting at Antler and being around profiles who I felt were a lot bigger than myself. I often didn't put myself forward for speaking opportunities, for example, and I would always offer them to somebody else, and then I would watch them and I would think, like, kick myself and think I could have done that, like, why did I do that? So I'm really learning and continuing to learn to back myself, and the more I do that, the more opportunity I get, and hopefully I'm growing as well.